Hi, Andrea Calvo. Well, she's the host of Maximum Flavor Live, right? You got a restaurant in Miami. What's Chef Adrianne's Vineyard Restaurant, which is a very special restaurant because you do some incredibly different things here. We'll talk about that in a minute. And you have this wonderful cookbook, and you were like a sensation on social media. So beside that, you actually can whip things up here.
Yeah, I can actually cook. Actually, today I brought for you our Nutella dark chocolate croissant bread pudding. And it's been voted amongst a lot of critics lists as top. Zagat named it one of the desserts that you cannot share. Thrillist named it as 50 things you have to eat before you die. So it's, it's kind of been a crazy thing, but above all, it's just very delicious. And I think it hits kind of close to home with Nutella, chocolate, croissants. It's good for the soul. So I got it here.
You're going to show us how to make it?
Yes.
Can we talk while you're spinning? Okay. So you've got a couple eggs in there that you just mixed up, and
yes. And what we're doing is creating a custard base, and a very French technique. Actually, we use whole eggs, heavy cream, condensed milk for that richness. Typical bread puddings have eggs, milk, sugar. So we kind of compensated for those ingredients and used the classical French way of cooking. Instead of using stale old bread, we use fresh croissants also.
Because a lot of restaurants do that, right? They try to look for what do we do with this old bread? We'll just put it into a different recipe.
Absolutely. I mean, that is the thing to do. That is how bread pudding came about, but we do it the maximum flavor way. So here I added some rum and some pure vanilla extract. Okay. Now, with that, this is a traditional French custard, almost like a creme brulee right now. Now in here, we're gonna soak our croissants. We have about 3 or 4 croissants, like so. We preheat our oven to 350 degrees, okay? All right, and then we're gonna dollop this with dark chocolate chips. Make sure you use a good quality of dark chocolate, very important.
Which would be what? What's a good quality of chocolate?
Well,
what percentage of cocoa?
70. 70 and up.
And up. So even if you're going higher and it tastes a little bit bitter to the tongue, it's what works well in a recipe.
The contrast is what makes it magical. See, we have the sweetness and we have the nuttiness from the hazelnuts and the Nutella, which is like the killer ingredient here. And when you taste it with dark chocolate, it just creates like wow. That's the wow factor. So we're gonna dollop some Nutella just like so. Here we go. Now, of course, this is when it can get fun because if you get it on your fingers,
you're finger painting.
Yeah, here we go. All right, so meanwhile, your oven is at 350. Then you get a non-stick, you grease up this pan, and then in it goes for about 30 to 45 minutes. Now, at the restaurant, we serve it with some vanilla ice cream and a little bit of extra chocolate ganache, and oh boy, that's just, oh.
Yeah, so you got to save room for that.
Yep, and then there we go. That's it. Very easy, but it's just incredible flavor.
And this becomes your end result, right?
After you're done, this is it right here. So we take a nice big square of this. Oh my goodness. There we go. Now let's see if it'll come out easy. Here we go. This is when our guests start to get really excited. Oh my goodness, that ooey gooey deliciousness right there. And
with the vanilla ice cream, wow! What a great dish. We started using this company, Blue Apron, at our house.
I'm familiar with them. Yes.
Right, and these are companies that deliver the different ingredients to your house. It comes Federal Express, with some ice, and you put it in the refrigerator, and everything, all the ingredients individually packaged, and then it has a recipe card, and you go through it step by step, like you just explained.
Yeah.
But there seems to be a lot of competition with other companies in that field, and more people wanting to start cooking themselves.
Well, I think that's what's great about our industry. I feel like years ago, people had to, you had to be in the food industry to really, really appreciate it. You had to be in the biz, but now everybody's becoming a foodie, and I think that's based off of social media. We're instantly connected to the chefs, to the restaurants, or the foods that are in trends right now, and that's because of social media, which is the inspiration behind my book, Maximum Flavor Social.
Right. And we in Las Vegas have a lot of trendy chefs and restaurants. You do as well in Miami, New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, probably be the 5 or 6, cities that have all these chefs. And they come in and they create a restaurant, and I guess they're here for a couple weeks, and then they're gone.
and then they're gone.
And then they're gone. So, yeah, I mean, what happens 2 weeks later? Is the food?
Well, I can't speak for any of the other chefs. I know that what we do at Chef Adrianne's in Miami is, I mean, we're completely off the beaten path. We're not in South Beach, downtown, Wynwood, any of the trendy areas. We're definitely isolated. But I was taught that if you make good food, people will drive for your food. And that is essentially the testament to your craft. If people are driving for your food, that's it right there. That's the secret recipe to having a restaurant for a while. And thank God, right now we celebrated our 10th year anniversary. So.
At your Miami restaurant, that's incredible. Let's talk about social media and how it interacts with food. You know, you go into Facebook and everybody's posting photographs of food.
Yes, I mean, even if you're not a chef, they'll post photographs of food. People are like, this is what I'm having for lunch. I mean, even if they're having a Starbucks coffee, they're like in the car and they're taking a picture of their coffee. People love that. They say there's 3 things that are photographed the most on social media. It's what you're eating, puppies, and babies. That's it. It's
Kittens. True. Yeah, but when you are photographing food, I do know that it takes a special camera and a special lens and somebody with a lot of experience in how to properly photograph food.
Well, I think that was true till now. I think, like for example, myself, I take all the pictures on my social media outlets and I use it with my iPhone. And I think it has nothing to do with special equipment. I see food and I'm obsessed with food. So I see it, I want to highlight the best way I can. I want to highlight each ingredient the best way I can. And I want to create that look that'll make you crave what I'm photographing. So for example, this Nutella bread pudding right here, I definitely photographed the corner where the 2 chocolates meet, the Nutella and the dark chocolate chip, and that croissant is extra buttery. If I could capture that in a photograph, well then I've done my job as a food photographer, but I'm really not a food photographer. Right, I think that's what everybody does.
Right, but you need to know the area of the item that you want to photograph and the position of it.
Absolutely.
How it look most appetizing.
Yeah.
Do you encourage people to go online, like with Yelp and these other review sites when they're at your restaurant?
Absolutely. I think Yelp, it could either make you or break you. But I think that we're in an era now where every consumer is a food critic. We don't need to wait for the New York Times food critic anymore to either make you or break you, exactly. But now Joe Schmo can walk in there and really make everybody want to order your steak or your ossobuco or whatnot, just as well as any type of food critic.
Yeah, I'm noticing that your book is a little bit different than typical cookbooks, starting with the shape of the book.
Oh, yes. The shape of the book, I mean, I'm very much into design, and the shape of the book itself, it's supposed to be the shape of your profile icon for like social media. For example, you're on Facebook, it's your profile picture, it is a square. The colors of social media, it's the royal blue, you know, things like that.
Right. So how is it different on the inside?
Well, on the inside, we actually took a bunch of photographs from actual Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all the comments that people left, with their permission, we asked them if we could publish them. And so you'll have the recipe I created on one side, and then you'll have the day that we actually made it at the restaurant, and then people's reaction to it. And that's representative of today's society, so much so. You don't have to wait a week to read about it in the paper if you're lucky. You can have that relationship with your chef, your favorite restaurant, instantly.
What's the status of the restaurant industry as a whole? I mean, is it business increasing or decreasing, or is there a consolidation in the industry?
Actually, I think the restaurant industry now is purely entertainment, just because everybody goes out to eat for fun now. I think chefs right now are at the forefront of creating that experience. People are looking for that Disney experience, that Ritz-Carlton experience. They want to be wowed every time they go out to eat. Right. And so I feel like right now we're at the peak of food, like of food as entertainment.
Now what about all the niche types of restaurants from other Vietnamese, Chinese, Japanese? I mean, they seem to be more popular than ever.
Oh, absolutely. And that's one of the most exciting parts about food and the restaurant industry itself, is we can deliver a cultural experience. Before, it wasn't so common for you to be like, oh, let's go to a Vietnamese restaurant, or hey, let's go try this Croatian place. But now, more and more people are expanding the way they eat, and they want to experience other cultures, and they're more open-minded. And therefore, I mean, it bridges, it's a connection. We all speak food, and that's really cool.
What's trendy now in food? You know, it seems like all the time the chefs are going for a particular ingredient, and it becomes really hot in the restaurant for a year or two, and
And then they die out. Last year was all about Brussels sprouts, crispy Brussels sprouts everywhere. This year, everybody's big on gluten-free is getting really big. Ancient grains that have been around, again, the title itself is self-explanatory. Ancient grains, been around forever, but now people are into quinoa. They're into all types of different seeds. And I just think that what's going on now is a fresher approach to food. They're more conscious of what they're eating and how they're cooking.
Fresher meaning, for instance, you in the Whole Foods now, they really emphasize locally produced produce. Bread, that type of thing. So it's always better to buy something that's grown or created locally.
Absolutely. I think it's the most important part of cooking is our fundamentals are where we source our ingredients from. You have to know where you're buying it from, your farmers, your purveyors. Once you have that settled and you're buying the best product, the freshest, you know how it's being grown without hormones or pesticide. Then as a chef, you come in and say, okay, how can I make this taste as good as possible? And so step one is quality and knowledge. Step two is making it taste great. What's
the difference between vegan and vegetarian, and how is everybody accommodating that now?
Well, vegan is plant-based. There cannot be any type of animal product whatsoever. No eggs, no butter, nothing.
Right.
Vegetarian, some people do eggs, some people do seafood. It's allowed, shellfish and whatnot, and fish. But vegan is completely plant-based and whole food. Certain aspects can't touch too much heat and stuff like that.
And there's much more demand by consumers for that now.
Much more. I mean, again, people are much more health conscious right now, but also I think that trend is also going to wither away because I don't know how long people can take being vegan. One of the greatest pleasures of life is eating, and that's why food right now is so entertaining.
Right. So it's always a situation where you have to just moderate what you're eating.
Yes. Everything in moderation is good.
Yeah. So how does that work when you're creating a portion? Like just created this Nutella.
Yes.
Masterpiece, you know. So is this a typical portion that you would serve?
Yeah, this is about the size we serve at the restaurant. Again, you're going with someone else, you're going with a table of four. It's different. But when you go out to eat, what we create at Chef Adrianne's is it's a special occasion. So you're not going there every single day and indulging every single day.
You know, it seems that also food takes turns being, well, a problem. There was a problem at one time with meat, with cholesterol, with heart disease. Then it became tainted chicken. There was a problem with... Now the fish. What's going on with fish?
Oh, the fishing industry is something that's I read about it every day. People talk about wild-caught fish and farm-raised fish. Again, knowledge, I think if you're a restaurant owner or an executive chef somewhere, it's very important to be knowledgeable. Now you have to be knowledgeable about the waters where your fish are being caught from, because even though it's wild caught, if it's caught in waters that are contaminated or highly polluted or had oil spills like we had a few years back with, that issue. So you have to know exactly where it's coming from and definitely stay away from farm-raised fish.
Right, so when you're in Miami, you're in the coast with an ocean, it's a good thing to order fish. I know, my wife's Peruvian. I know in Peru, because people don't really acknowledge Peru for food, but it's one of the great capitals of the world. There's over 3,000 varieties of potatoes there, just potatoes.
Well, Peru is a culinary mecca. At least in Miami right now, it's really up there, and people are really excited about all their different ingredients.
Yeah, and you were also voted best chef in Miami, huh? A lot of competition there for that.
Oh, absolutely. That was a great honor. Yeah, that was last year. It was really great.
Okay, it's Chef Adrianne Calvo. Her book is Maximum Flavor Social. Food, Family, and Followers, right? And you have these recipes online, by the way?
Well, they're in the book. Some of them are online. Right. All the dishes are on my social media.
Okay, so check her out online.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Adrianne.
Thank you very much.
There are many types of careless drivers. Those who text and drive, drink and drive, and those distracted drivers. If you've been hurt, you need to call me.
Enough said. Call Ed. EdBernstein.com.